the wind. Just waiting for the wind to die down a little bit. I love the wind. I like listening to it. It's my favourite thing. It is literally my favourite weather feature. I love the wind. If I can find some poplar trees or aspens, I will try and find them and sit and take some time just to listen to the wind going through them. It just reminds me about nature, and that maybe there's some underlying force. Of course, there is an underlying force to the wind. It's a scientifically understood phenomena. But in my mind, I like to imagine that it's something a little bit more. I love the wind. Struggling today, recording because I'm struggling. It's my first day of really struggling for a long time at work. Just taking my break and just trying to find a bit of peace. Well, last night I watched the most horrific episode of Game of Thrones, and arguably it's probably the worst of all the series, of all the different seasons, but it was brutal. It was the episode where Daenerys just goes absolutely crazy, lives up to the title of the Mad Queen. It's nice to have a bit of shut off time, but last night was especially brutal. And it just made me think, actually, it was bold, it was brutal, it was a really brutal reflection of how bad a human can be. I know it's only make-believe, but I think it was bold. It was really bold from the writers, George R. R. Martin, to create something like that. It's extremely pessimistic about people, about humans. It's not what I'm used to. I'm used to, sort of horror and struggle and difficulty and pain in a movie or series or something. But it's punctuated with hope and triumph and glory. The overcoming of adversity. This season has really tipped the balance, and it's far more about the horror that can lie within each human being, and I was a bit taken aback by it, really. It did make me think, what if that is the state of humankind? What if that is it? What if they've revealed, really, the true nature of a human being? What if my idealistic notions that human beings are on this earth for a greater purpose, an opportunity to rise above their base instincts? What if all of my idealistic, hopeful notions are just so wrong? And what if there is no meaning to this? What if I just need to just realise, become a bit more nihilistic? What if there is no meaning to all of this? What if this feeling that I have is just a delusion? I feel like I have clues all my life to tell me that humans can be more, that we can achieve, that we haven't even begun to explore our potential. I think it's hard to explore our potential because I think we've been forced to have limitations placed on us at every moment that we evolved. I think we've had other people place limitations on us. I think we put limitations on ourselves. I don't know if we've explored our potential fully. And I even thought the other day, which will be part of some of my future videos, it seems logical that fear would arise, would develop over, evolution over time. Because it only takes one generation or a series of generations early in our history to shape our conditioning for thousands of years. So we know about the biblical stories and other stories that talk about flood myths and other cataclysms and catastrophes, major world events that impact on large populations of people. We know that these things have likely happened. And if you've got a series of generations going through immense struggle, suffering, pain, anguish, where survival is quite desperate, where survival is the most important thing, half of the population of the world or something wiped out or more, it would make sense that if that is the experience of some very early generations in our evolution, the building of civilization or whatever it is, whatever period of time that is, 200,000 years ago, 50,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, I think it could conceivably only take a few generations to really plant that seed of fear within every human being, and then the conditioning since those periods have conditioned for fear responses. 2,000 years passes by, 5,000, 10,000 years pass by of this fear response being selected for in our genes, and then that's selected for, and then society is shaped around that to reinforce that selection process, those genes. So maybe the horror, the tragedy, the suffering is inbuilt within us. That's why we need a revolution. And when I come to places like this, church, when I come to places like this, I'm a morbid sort, as we know. Come to a cemetery, see all these past lives strewn about, largely forgotten, most of them. I do feel inspired. I do feel that human beings are meant for more. We can be more. We can do more. We can unlock our potentials. we may be able to transcend our animalistic bonds, our fear conditioning. But I could be wrong, and this is the sad thing. This is what gets me down. This is why I have days like today when I'm just, the weight of the realisation that all of this project that I'm doing, it could be just meaningless. I just haven't given up hope yet. I haven't given up hope. At the end of the day, this is very much at the beginning, and who knows what I will be saying in 5 years' time from now. Does anybody else feel this? Does anybody else feel this sense of something more? Does anybody else listen to a tree, and not in a kind of new age type of way, because I'm really not a fan of necessarily new age movements, because I think that's all about avoidance at times. I think people who talk about spirituality, often they're not being authentic. I think they're still being avoidant. I think they're still running away from their very nature in some ways. And I think that this is the whole point of this revolution. I think we have to start right at the beginning. We have to ask about fear. I honestly feel that fear is right at the core of us, and I think that is where we start. I think we start there, and then we can look into spirituality. Then we can look into, problem solving, using innovation, our genius. But until we start right at the beginning, when we really expose who we are, we ask ourselves, what has happened to us? Could it be that fear is this conditioned response selected for through our genes over millennia because of some cataclysm or a series of cataclysms? I don't know, but maybe this is all delusion. I don't know. I know how this looks to a lot of people who'll be watching this. I can imagine, I can see some of the responses already. And any negativity that I get for all of this, it's probably justified. People probably know more than I do about many things. But if I did get the opportunity, I'd like to say to these people, I'd like to look them in the eye and just really have a moment where we connect. And I ask them, do you not feel that? Do you not feel something? Honestly, when you're in your silent moments, when you have your silent moments, where you're moved, where you're your most authentic self, do you feel that there's something that us humans we're supposed to be doing? Not just pleasure seeking, comfort seeking, not just responding to those fear impulses, but doing something more transcending. I think it's sad. I'm in a cemetery of all these potentials. Did they ever get fulfilled? I hope a lot of them did, but I'm going to make a bold guess. I'm going to make a really sort of arrogant statement, really. I'm going to say that many of these people in this cemetery did not fulfill their potential. And some people can argue, well, what is potential? And I don't have an answer for that at the moment, because it's something that I'm feeling. It's not something I can put into words at this moment in time. The only word that ever fits is that transcendent spark, that optimization of the human experience. I don't know what that is, but my gut instinct, and as you know, instinct is what I draw upon a lot. I feel that a lot of these people will not have reached their potential. But I don't know. I shouldn't make truth claims. I shouldn't make statements of fact. Who knows? feel like I am getting close to the point where I'm going to do something radical. I do really feel like I can see myself quitting a job and just... It's difficult because I wouldn't want to put my family through any major hardship. I just really don't want it, but it's just so hard. I was hoping that things would be better, but today's making me feel like things aren't better and they're not going to improve. I could use cognitive trickery, but I mean, the reality is I could just work on my career. I could work on my career, forget all of this, just literally work on myself, my family, that being the most important thing. But what about those who are less fortunate than me? So yeah, Game of Thrones, it stirred something within me. It made me question, perhaps that is us. Perhaps we are just horrible. I'm not ready to just give up and accept that. I think we're more good than we are terrible.